Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Luke from Guild Umbra. In this video, we will be touching base on like a basic overview of all the abilities available to the tanking warrior. Reasons I would use them, situational cases where I wouldn't or would use them. Before we go there, I want to talk a little bit about the stance that you should be running as a tanking warrior, and that is Bulwark. Bulwark is a pretty good. I like the state of the game where this ability is right now. Basically, the stance produces more threat generation. It also increases your mitigation, while also reducing the amount of damage you do, which is not a big deal to me because I don't want to be doing a ton of damage as the tanking warrior in the first place. I just want to be smacking people in the face, you know. Um, but the active of Bulwark, what it does is it's basically like a defensive cooldown. It reduces damage that you take even further. Um, so it's one of those defensive cooldowns that you want to throw out here or there to help your healer out. Because one of the issues I've had with and maybe they'll change this, I hope they do, is that I do still take a ton of damage, considering the fact that I have heavy armor. Almost more damage than, the Stalker, which wears medium armor. So something weird is going on there, and I hope Carbine does a good job and fixes it upon launch. We will see. But anyway, let's dive right in. The first ability that you should have as a tanking warrior is Menacing Strike. I don't see a reason why you wouldn't have this ability. What it does is it does physical damage to up to 5 foes in that telegraph. It's a small conal area telegraph that's just in front of the warrior, and it builds 300 kinetic energy. The side effect of it generates 130% threat. So you will kind of be spamming this a lot as the warrior, okay? At least out, when you first pull the mobs. But in my experience, I've used it a lot. Jolt. Jolt's a pretty cool ability. I do like it. However, it complicates rotations a little bit by using it. It deals technology damage to 5 foes. It is a 1.5 second cast. It requires that you have 250 kinetic energy. And as you increase kinetic energy, of course, the damage it does is more. The side effect of it is that it generates 130% threat. So not a bad ability. It's a little bit larger conal AoE ability. Has the chance to hit 5 foes, so it's not bad. It's not bad. Plasma Wall. Plasma Wall is an interesting telegraph. It's like a semicircle telegraph from the warrior. And what it is when you hit this ability, it channels for 3 seconds. It requires that you have 250 kinetic energy, so you can't use it out, immediately until you build up your kinetic energy. It's 8-second cooldown. But what it does is it deals technology damage to 5 foes every 0.5 seconds. Gain defense while casting. And this is the reason I like it. Is because the defense reduces the damage you take by 30%. So, as I described earlier, you have a lot of issues with taking a lot of burst damage. Good lord, you take a lot of burst damage for a heavy armor class. In my opinion, even with like full tank gear, I was still taking a lot of damage and my healers had to spam heals on me. So using this helps. It does help to use this on every cooldown that you can, provided you have good threat. Okay, because you'll notice it doesn't produce threat. Okay, so anyway, next ability, Atomic Spear. This has gone through a lot of changes. But it's a proc ability. You have to deflect an attack, enable, in other words, God, I can't talk. Basically, when you deflect an attack, this ability becomes available to use. And what it does is it's a small conal AoE telegraph, and it deals a certain percent amount of damage to 5 foes. Builds 250 kinetic energy, so it does build some kinetic energy upon using it. Generates 175% threat. Um, you know, I went through these phases where I hated this ability. I really did. Um, and I had really no reason to, other than the fact that it was one of those things that I'd be more. I'm not a great tank, okay? Let me put that out there. Um, and I have a lot of hard time sometimes keeping an eye on when abilities pop up to be used as a tank, because I'm more concerned about other things. Staying out of telegraphs, using cooldowns that help my healer not like rage quit on me. Okay, so anyway, that's Atomic Spear. Per polarity field. What it does is it's a line telegraph coming up away from the warrior, and when it hits a target, it does a small AOE around that target. So for multiple mob pools, it's not a bad idea to use this out the gate to generate some threat. Um, but what it does, like I said, it create a 99. I don't think that's correct. Meter field lasting 10 seconds around the foe, and the field deals technology damage to all foes inside the field every 1 second. And like I said, it lasts 10 seconds. So it's the side effect is exhaust. So it would have some PvP usage here, because the endurance region is your ability to dash, how much dash you have as a player. So I could see its uses in endurance, where it takes away a person's ability to sprint. Okay. Next ability is Bolstering Strike. To me, this is still a very underwhelming ability. I tried to give it a chance, even with the fixes to the warrior, and I'm still not liking it. Okay. But what it does is it's an instant cast, conal AoE telegraph, and you have to have 250 kinetic energy to use it, minimum. But it deals technology damage, and it restores, based off that damage, a certain amount of shield. Okay, in my opinion, they need to rework this skill or do something different with this skill, because I just don't. Even though a lot of people like it, I don't see a lot of uses of it right now. Um, Maybe later on, maybe later in the game, it's more important to use it in raids or something. I just don't see it right now. Expulsion. Deal technology damage to 5 foes and cleanse 2 debuffs. This would be more of a, I guess it would be. It's a little bit confusing. I've never used it. Let me say that out the gate. I've never used this ability. Never found a need to. I guess I could see its uses as being situational, where, um, in PvE you have certain mobs that'll debuff you. Um, if it cleansed other debuffs from other people, maybe it does, because I've never used it. Then I could see its uses being worthwhile. Atomic Surge deals technology damage every 1 second for 4 seconds to 10 foes, and implies Intimidate. The Intimidate is it matches the top of the NPC's threat list for 4 seconds. So it's another taunt, just like the Stalker had. Um, and, I could see its uses in endgame a little bit more, where you have a larger raid. In, the initial taunt that you normally use, which we'll go in a little bit later, isn't enough. I would be using this or that other. It's over here. Shit, Plasma Blast. Okay, that's the other taunt. Um, but that's basically what that does. Bum Rush. It's another. Bum Rush is another like dashing ability. The amount of meters it dashes you or rushes you forward in this case is a little smaller than the leap ability. It only does 20 meters. But the advantage to using Bum Rush is that it applies defense for 3 seconds, which reduces the damage you take by 28%. Now, if I needed a movement ability as the tanking warrior, then definitely I would take this. But it wouldn't be a regular slot on my limited action slot. Okay, that's just my opinion. So, moving on. Shield Burst. You deal technology damage to 10 foes and restore shield. And build 250 kinetic energy. It's an instant cast. Again, I haven't used this ability yet because I didn't get enough didn't get high enough of a level to unlock it. So it might be worthwhile, it might not be worthwhile. I've never used it. Seems to be a little bit better than Bolstering Strike. Maybe not. So, anyway, that covers the abilities that the tanking warrior has in his arsenal. Okay. Next, we'll talk about utility. First off, kick. Again, I found myself as the warrior, especially the tanking warrior, being the one that prefers to take 2 CCs. So normally I would take kick and I would take grapple. Okay. And the reason for this is to, even though I don't do a lot of damage, my group does, and maybe their CCs are on cooldown. Well, you know, being able to grab amps that reduce the cooldown. I mean, I think I was sitting at like 18%, maybe less than that, of a cooldown on these abilities. So they were pretty, they were almost always up when I needed to use them on a telegraph that the enemy was doing and get those moves, which allows my group to do 50% more damage. So pretty damn big deal. Okay. But what kick does is it knocks down up to 5 foes, prevents any action except dash for you PvPers out there, but it also destroys 1 interrupt armor. This is our taunt as the tanking warrior. It's a line telegraph taunt. It can go up to 30 meters, so if you're good at aiming it, you can do really well with this ability. I will mention this. There's a video out there that of me and my guildmates where I didn't run a taunt for a majority of the run, except when I absolutely had to. And I just ran, more of a CC heavy build with a few other support abilities, and still did a really good job, you know. But anyway, moving on. I think I explained that pretty well. I guess I should talk a little more. It deals technology damage and taunts up to 5 foes. The taunt reduces damage dealt to all targets except the taunter, me, by 25% for 5 seconds. NPCs are forced to attack the taunter, which is me. And that's what you want as a tanking warrior anyway. You don't want them smashing the healer's face and then your whole group dies because you have no healing. Or killing a bunch of DPS so your healer's even more pissed off. Because he's running out of focus because you just don't do enough damage. But anyway, moving on. Flashbang. Flashbang, I talked about this in my DPS builds a little bit. I could see its uses in PvP a little more than I would in PvE environments. Although the ability to reduce a strike through of my enemies is kind of cool by a certain percent, because it allows me to deflect their attacks even better, because strike through and deflect are polar opposites of each other in the stat tree. Okay, so I could see its uses. Again, a situational ability in my opinion. Grapple. Grapple is our other CC that I used a lot. Um, Basically, what it does is it does technology damage, pulls two foes, and applies a root for 1.2 seconds, destroys one interrupt armor, and the root prevents movement, of course. Um, but what it is it's a line telegraph. And if you're good at AMI, you'll be able to land this and pull those foes to you. So it's kind of cool if you have like that ranged caster sitting in the back, and instead of having to hit the melee guy that's with him and then run up to the caster, if you can land this, you can just pull the caster in to the melee guys and hit them all. So it's not a bad idea to pick this up. Pretty cool ability. Another defensive cooldown, Emergency Reserves. It restores a certain percent of shield and grants one interrupt armor for 6 seconds. Additionally, while Energy Reserves is active, your shield absorbs 100% damage. So in other words, you don't take a hit to your health bar. You have a shield bar and a health bar. All the damage that you take goes into that shield that this ability produces. Okay? While it's active. It's not an ability that I mean I played with it a little bit. I haven't played with it since a few changes that they've done to the warrior. Um, so I don't know how valuable this would be in your kit. I think it would be more of a situational ability. Sentinel, I talked a little bit about this in my DPS build of the warrior. The issue I have with this ability is mainly because, sorry, ugh, got a nasty cold. Anyway, the issue I have with this ability is it reduces your armor. Okay, yes, it does grant a guard on your lowest health party member, and maybe that's useful. What guard does is it increases their armor and deals physical damage to the foes that are attacking that party member. I saw a few times in a few runs this being used by the DPS warrior, which I guess is okay. I would rather him do it than me, being the tank, because I need all the mitigation I can get. Powerlink, I could see its uses again, even as a tanking warrior. Um, if you can get to it without sacrificing too many amps, it would be a worthwhile ability, in my opinion, to pick up. Um, Again, it's up to you. Defense Grid, this is something I ran almost all the time as a tank, because it reduces the damage you take by 21%. Okay? It's a big circular field telegraph, AoE field, and as long as your members are in there, if they take damage, they take 21% less damage. So, pretty nice. Unstoppable Force, it's our CC break, one and only CC break that we have as the warrior. And there's a few fights that you could use this and have it be useful. So, yeah, it's situational. Tetherbolt, I haven't actually used this ability, but based off the description, it's a lot similar to the Stalker Tether Mine. And honestly, I don't see a reason to be using these unless maybe I wanted to give my healer a break. A boss is really hammering me, or mobs are hammering me. But the only problem with this is that there are other abilities in our toolkit that certainly do a lot better utility than this does. This would lean toward a PvP build, maybe. So anyway, that explains our abilities. I won't go into tiers too much because my experience is limited. I know there's a few tiers that I did like when I ran Polarity Field. I liked the idea of being able to create an extra field, um, to do more AOE threat. Um, I liked Plasma Wall's ability to increase my deflect chance by 7%. I did take that at tier 4, I remember. And I think that's the only ones I really dealt with, other than the defense grid. Increased deflect chance by 2.5%. You know, like I said, I didn't get very far with the leveling. I was leveling other characters at the time too. So anyway, amps real quick are skill trees and many other MMOs that you might be familiar with. Um, but in WildStar, you get amps. Okay, amps are static stat increases, like strike through, or in this case, deflect chance, or deflect critical hit chance to your player. And you have to spend points in tier 1 to get to tier 2. You have to spend points in tier 2 to get to tier 3 rather. And that's kind of how it works. From level 6 to level 50, you get up to 1 amp each level, all the way up to about 45 amps at level 50. And from that point, if you wanted to get 55, like WSBase.com has here in their builder, you have to get something called Elder Gems. Elder Gems are received through daily questing when you hit level 50. And you use those Elder Gems to buy those remaining 10 amp points. So anyway, we're getting pretty long on the video, so I'll go real quick through these. I think these are have-to-have amps, in my opinion. Any chance I can have to increase my deflect chance, I'm going to take it. Deflect more abilities, help my healer out, have less chance of dying, I'll take it. Same thing with deflect critical hit chance. Now support power, again, I don't know how these things are figured out yet, because I haven't done enough tanking. But support power does not translate necessarily into more threat. Okay, it translates into more damage. Okay, and the abilities you choose are abilities that have that add threat to your tanking ability. Okay, so I don't know if that makes sense, but in my stat priority video, I did a better job explaining it. Full defense I took because while above 500 kinetic energy, which is your resource you build up over time as the warrior, you gain defense. Defense is increases deflect. Excuse me, increases deflect and deflect critical hit chance by 5%. So even more chances to deflect attacks being done to me. I'll take it. And in my experience, I did have some issues when I was playing around with sort of the way I played, where I would dip below 500 kinetic energy. But that was very few times, because you're going to be attacking people. You're going to be building kinetic energy as a result of attacking. So, anyway, full force. Landing a hit has a 50% chance to grant threaten. Threaten is it increases your threat generation by 25%. Can only occur every 15 seconds. So, this is a iffy one. Simply because I don't like the can only occur every 15 seconds part of it. But if you're having issues early on, I had a lot of issues when I was learning the abilities and learning how to tank. And so I took this amp. Okay, maybe you're a little better at tanking than I am. Maybe you don't need this amp. I'll leave it up to you. MK2 Battlesuit. When taking physical or technology damage, you have a 10% chance to restore 80.45% health. Can only occur every 3 seconds. I could see where this would be okay. Um, but it seemed like I was taking a lot of magic damage in a lot of these dungeons. Not all of them, but a majority of them. And so I didn't see a use for this really and truly. But it would be nice to grab it up. Another survivability amp, in my opinion. So moving on. Bulwark. When you activate Bulwark, which I talked about in your stance early on in the video, is your stance active Bulwark, you grant yourself 2 interrupt armor. So you're able to stand in telegraphs and all forms of CC at least 2 times. Pretty nice. Is it a have to have amp? Not in my opinion. So I'll leave it up to you. Kinetic buffer, while above 50 kinetic energy, gain a defense. Defense increases damage mitigation by 4.5%. Now I was thinking about taking this amp, but really and truly, like, how much is 4.5% damage mitigation in this game? Does anybody know? Because I don't. Um, and I've done a good deal of research, and I haven't been able to find enough information, I guess, to warrant me taking this amp. I'll leave it up to you, but that's basically it. I didn't like a lot of these tier 3s in support. I already explained Bolstering Strike, I won't go there. Fortify, while above 50% shield, gain a defense. Increases armor by 25% of your current maximum. I didn't take this amp because quite often I am below 50% shield in my experience. Okay, so this would see very little usage. By taking 6 amp points to get it, I'm a little hesitant to do that. I'm a little bit more, in my opinion, wanting to spend my amp points in other areas. To the pain. Taking damage that would kill you instead restores 1,363% health, but drains 136.3% of that health every 1 second for 15 seconds. Can only occur every 5 minutes. This is sort of a spin-off of the Stalker amp, where you were invincible. If you want to see that, go back and check out my Stalker one. But again, I don't know. I could see its usage. 6 points for it? I don't know. I think they need to change it around a little bit, in my opinion. I don't like the idea of relying on an amp like this to keep me alive, but it's one of those where, I have it. It's better to have it and need it than when you do need it and don't have it. You know what I mean? So anyway, leave it up to you. I took strike through, so I don't have to worry about focusing as much on strike through on my gear stats. Get me closer to that 12%, and so I can get into rating. I did take this ability to synergize with, where is it? This ability, okay? Because 10% of, 1,000 is 100. Well, that's 1,100 kinetic energy is my max. So when I do decay my kinetic energy, I can still keep this buff up. So that was my reasoning for taking this amp. Okay. Kinetic burst, don't really. I guess I could see that being taken. Each build, is going to be slightly different, obviously. But our main attacking ability, let me go back and look at that real quick, was Menacing Strike, and it builds 300 kinetic energy. So this would give me 500 with this amp. Not bad, because that would instantly give me this buff on my first attack of Menacing Strike. Maybe. Stance Dancer. Switching stance no longer drains your kinetic energy. if you switch from Bulwark to Juggernaut, or vice versa, your kinetic energy, this stops that from happening. Although I don't see many reasons to switch out, except in maybe some cases where your tank switching, but that's what a taunt's for. So I don't take that ability, that amp. When your attacks, sure shot, when your attacks are deflected, you have a 75% chance to gain a bullseye for 5 seconds. Bullseye, your next attack cannot be deflected. Can only occur every 5 seconds. Situational amp in my opinion. Overwhelming Presence applies an expose to foes within 8 meters. The expose is, it reduces deflect chance by 6%. I kind of could see this being something that I would grab up, but it wouldn't be for necessarily me. It would be more for my group. Okay. Fury, taking direct damage, gains it in power for 10 seconds. Increases damage dealt, don't care, as a tank. I took maximum shield capacity. I took dash region. I took CC resilience. But these are obviously amps that you can put points elsewhere. I simply was using these amps to get to Power Link, because I still think that's an awesome ability. It's almost too good, in my opinion, to be passed up. Unless, of course, you have several people with it in your group already. So, but even then, you can still keep the buff up even longer with good communication. So, but anyway, performing a CC break restores 28% health every 1 second for 4 seconds. Mikey likes, and that's why he took it. You're not going to always use a CC break, but when you do use it, and you're the tank and you're already getting busted in the face anyway, and taking all the damage, why not? You know? I took Unyielding for the same reason that I took it in my Tanking Stalker build, because when you have to line of sight pull, which you sometimes have to do as a melee, and you might accidentally hit the sprint bar thinking you'll get there faster, but when an enemy attacks you, you get dazed, which means you move slower, which means you can't pick up threat on those ranged bullies that are shooting you in the face and laughing at you. So this amp prevents that. And that about covers my overview. Real quick, I'll talk a little bit more about my experience. I know I've gone over my time that I wanted to keep the video at. But as the warrior, in the current state of the game, it seems like we're pretty on par with the engineer tank. Obviously, it seems like the engineer tank's a little bit better, and the stalker tank is a little bit better than the engineer. I've seen very few, if any, warrior tanks at all in raids. I haven't seen any. So I don't know if Carbine is looking into this and maybe looking into doing some more fixes with the warrior. Because one of the weaknesses we have, other than the fact that we are melee and we have to run up or line of sight pull mobs, is because another weakness we have is we take a lot of burst damage, and this is an issue that I hope they fix, whether it be with abilities or maybe with bulwark, something. It's missing something, I feel. But nonetheless, I had a lot of fun with this class. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is Luke from Guild Umbra, signing off. If you liked the video, hit me up on YouTube with those like buttons. This video will be the conclusion of the warrior class. We'll probably go into the engineer maybe, or the spellslinger. That's the only two I haven't gone into yet. So stay tuned. Another way you can stay tuned is follow me on Twitch. I hope you guys are having a lot of fun. I am. I'm pretty tired, but I'm still having a lot of fun. Work kicked my ass, but I'm still clicking. I'm still kicking, but kicking. Anyway, I'm going to shut up now and let you guys sleep or whatever you guys do when you're not watching my videos. Peace out.